Okay, here's the deal. You can probably definitely hear my air conditioning going, but if I don't have air going, I will melt to death. So it's just something we're all gonna have to put up with. We're all gonna have to deal with it. Thank you for your time. And let's get to it. Hello, good morning, or good evening, whenever you are watching this. I hope you are doing well. My name is Catherine, and today we are talking about some new book releases in August. There are a lot of books that I am very excited about that are coming out in the month of August. Some came out last week, some came out this week. Some are coming out towards the end of the month. I am here to talk about them, and if you are not aware of them, I want to make you aware because it's an exciting book month this month. Most of these are going to be romances because this is who I am now. There's a couple YA fantasies, a couple other books. But yeah, without further ado, we are going week by week. And foremost, books that came out last week that if you didn't know they are out now. You can get them. First, we have Husband Material by Alexis Hall. Now, I had kind of mixed feelings about Boyfriend Material. I did enjoy the couple. I didn't love, I think honestly the problem that I had lied with the audiobook narration that I listened to. I love that it is also a sequel. We don't normally get sequels. Normally they're like companion novels when it comes to contemporary romances. So I'm excited to see how their story, Oliver and Luke, I want to say is their name, how their story continues. Another book I'm excited to read is Just Another Love Song by Carrie Winfrey. This is a second chance romance. Follows two people who had a high school romance. They ended up separating for whatever reason. Now she runs a greenhouse and her parents bed and breakfast in their hometown, and he is a huge country music star and has returned, hoping to win her back. I'm excited to see that. I do love a good second chance romance. I didn't know that that was something that I loved until kind of recently, but I love a good second chance romance. Another book that came out was Thank You for Listening by Julia Whelan. Julia Whelan is actually a pretty popular audiobook narrator, and her book is about audiobook narrators. Getting a little meta there, Julia. But yeah, it follows two audiobook narrators who start to kind of feel some vibes as they're recording a book together, but they don't actually know who the other is because it's all done virtually. So they don't know what the other looks like, or that they, you know, may have actually hooked up in the past. What? Speaking of hookups, The Hookup Plan by Farrah Rowan came out last week as well. It follows London, who hooks up with her high school nemesis at their reunion, and it sounds real messy and very fun. This week there was only really like one book that really caught my attention, and that is Luck and Last Resorts by Sarah Gunder Ruiz. This is another second chance romance between two co-workers who work on like a luxury yacht. He's like an Irish chef, she is the stewardess. They worked together in the past. He's like, I bet you're gonna fall in love with me by the end of the summer. Otherwise, I'll return back to Ireland. And I love that for them. Next week on August 16th, there is quite a few books that I am excited for. First is Sophie Go's Lonely Heart Club by Roselle Lim. It's about a matchmaker who has to return to her hometown, and she takes on the challenge of finding matches for a group of old bachelors. Sounds like there will be some life lessons in that one. We also have One Night with a Duke by Jodi Ellen Malpas. I haven't read any books by her, but I do love a good historical romance involving a duke. Follows Eliza during her debut season. She's being launched into London society, but all she wants is freedom and adventure. And along the way, she meets a scandalous younger son of a duke. He's not even really titled. Scandal. Something that sounds real fun is Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. It follows Phoebe, who is a PhD candidate. She is doing her dissertation on true crime and like the fascination with the true crime genre. And she's also convinced that her hot neighbor might be a serial killer. Finally, a book that isn't a romance. In fact, it might even be nonfiction. What? And that is The Milky Way, an autobiography of our galaxy by MacLean. This is written by an actual astrophysicist, which is pretty cool. It's all about everything we know about the Milky Way, but it's told as if it's being told from the perspective of the stars, which sounds just like really surreal. So even though I don't know anything about science or anything of that nature, it sounds really cool. Plus, I just love space. So probably the biggest launch day in August, at least in terms of romance books for sure, is the 23rd. Starting out, we have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I already know this book is probably going to go on back order within like the first day of it being released. I've accepted that I'm probably going to get a million phone calls at our bookstore asking if we have it in stock. I really hope my boss ordered like 500 copies, I swear. This follows formal university rivals as they have to collaborate together on a project at NASA. I already read an arc of it and it's so good. Do I like it more than Love Hypothesis? Great question. I don't know. They're both very good. It's filled with a lot of twists and turns, and it's a great time, and I'm excited for everyone else to finally read it so I can, you know, talk to people about it. Next is another book that I have already read, and that is Heartbreaker by Sarah MacLean. I am a huge Sarah MacLean fan, and this book is so good. It is so good. I swear, each of Sarah MacLean's books get better and better. It's the second of the Hell's Bells series, and this one follows Adelaide Frampton, who is known as the Heartbreaker, the Matchbreaker. Basically, she protects women in London society by breaking up matches and being like, hey, I'm gonna expose this guy and all the terrible things that he does. And she is known as a wallflower and never draws attention to herself, except when it comes to the Duke of Claiborne. Y'all, it's so good. The chemistry between the two of them, literally like just swoon. It's super high stakes and just overall such a good time. I love, love, love this book. A book that's coming out on the 23rd that I am reading the arc of right now is Aphrodite and the Duke by J.J. McAvoy. It's another second chance romance. It's between two childhood best friends. Everyone thought they were going to get married. He ended up marrying another, but unfortunately his wife passed away, and now everyone kind of expects them to finally get together. But will she let him? We'll see. Don't know. I'm only like 50 pages in. Also coming out that day is A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, about a woman who is an undercover witch, and she is asked to come to Nowhere House to help tutor 3 young witches. And of course, there is also a grumpy librarian involved. Love that for her. It has found family elements and sounds super, super adorable. Another sort of fantasy romance type deal is The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. This is by Megan Mannon. It's about a zombie slayer and an undertaker. Sounds like a fun time. I got a copy of it and I think it was my Fairy Loot box this month. It looks really good and it looks like it has some like Grumpy Sunshine vibes, so I will report back when I finally read it. A YA fantasy that everyone is very excited about is Lightlark by Alex Astor. She came by the bookstore that I work a couple months ago and she was like so sweet. It's a YA fantasy where every 100 years the rulers of the 6 realms of this place, I don't know, they have to participate in a deadly game of some sort. Y'all, I never look up the plot of fantasy books before I read them. I just kind of go in vibes only, and I love the vibe of this one. Speaking of vibes, a book that is on basically every fantasy reader's most anticipated reads of the year is Babel by R.F. Kuang. It is a like dark academia fantasy book that tackles British imperialism. Sounds heavy. I was going to say sounds like a good time, but no, it sounds real heavy. But I'm going to enjoy reading it. Finally, on the 30th, there are a couple books coming out as well. The Event of Love by Courtney Kay. We are starting to get into Christmassy books coming out, which I'm excited about. This one is like a sapphic Hallmark Channel movie. It follows a big city event planner who has to return to her small hometown, only to run into her childhood best friend / crush, who runs her family's Christmas tree farm, maybe just regular farm, but I think it's a Christmas tree farm. Courtney Kay came by the bookstore during Rachel and Solomon's event, and she is literally so sweet, and I am so excited for her because this book sounds super cute. I have the ARC sitting there, and I'm going to be reading that very, very soon. Another very anticipated book is going to be Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I know how the internet loves Taylor Jenkins Reid. This follows a retired tennis star as she is making her comeback because she wants to take back her title and record that she holds. I don't know what record it is, but it's a record. But it follows her returning to the tennis scene and having to compete with kind of the young new star. Kind of hoping it's sapphic, a la Evelyn Hugo. Fingers crossed. Finally, another YA fantasy is A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland. It's a Prince and Bodyguard vibe happening, where they have to investigate some break-ins in the royal guilds. I don't know. Somehow, princes are also able to taste metal, hence the title. Anyway, on that strong note of book descriptions, let me know down below if any of these books are in your anticipated reads, or if there's any books that you think I missed. Be like, hey, Catherine, how come you didn't talk about this book? And I'll immediately add it to my TBR because I have a problem. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and click that little bell icon so you get notified every single time I post, because who wants to miss out on this? I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, bye!